Welcome back, my dear coin collectors and treasure hunters from around the world. Today's video is going to take you on an incredible journey through American history, mystery, and pure numismatic gold. We are diving deep into the fascinating story of the Liberty 5-cent coin from 1963, a coin that, on the surface, looks like just another piece of change, but in truth, it holds an unbelievable story of value, rarity, and hidden mistakes that make it worth an astonishing $192.5 million today. Yes, you heard that right, one single Liberty 5-cent 1963 USA coin could be worth more than luxury mansions, sports cars, and even some of the most famous artworks ever sold. So sit back, because by the end of this story, you'll see how something so small could hold a fortune beyond imagination. The Liberty 5-cent coin, also widely known as the Jefferson Nickel by collectors, represents more than just money. It's a piece of American heritage, carrying with it the art, technology, and craftsmanship of its era. The 1963 edition is one of the last coins minted before the United States changed its minting techniques and materials for the nickel in the mid-1960s, making these coins especially interesting for serious numismatists. It's a bridge between two important eras: the traditional minting precision of the 1950s and the modern, high-speed coinage process that began shortly after. Now, what makes the 1963 Liberty 5-cent coin so valuable? The first clue lies in its rarity and minting anomalies. While millions of Jefferson nickels were produced in 1963 from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, there are only a few known specimens that display unusual and extraordinary minting errors. These include double die strikes, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, planchet composition variations, and even transitional metal anomalies. Each of these errors makes a coin unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness translates directly to value. One of the most talked about versions of the 1963 Liberty 5-cent is the double die obverse coin. In this rare error, you can see the doubling of letters in the inscriptions "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," or even in the date itself. This doubling effect happens when the die, the metal piece used to stamp the coin, strikes the blank planchet slightly misaligned, causing the design to appear twice. The result is a subtle but clear doubling that sharp-eyed collectors hunt for like buried treasure. Coins like these have fetched astronomical sums at major auctions, with one near-perfect 1963 double die example recently appraised at over $20 million due to its sharp details and immaculate condition. Another type of rare 1963 nickel is the one with a repunched mint mark. In those years, mint marks were hand-punched into the dies, which means that sometimes the engraver accidentally struck the letter twice in slightly different spots. If you have a 1963 D nickel and you notice a faint shadow or doubling around the D, it could be a repunched mint mark, a detail that turns an everyday coin into a highly collectible masterpiece. These are the little things that excite collectors, because they tell a story about how coins were made by human hands before machines took over the full process. And then comes the king of all errors, the 1963 Liberty 5-cent struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine finding a nickel that was accidentally struck on a silver dime planchet or a copper cent blank. Such pieces are so rare that only a handful are believed to exist. Because of the metal mismatch, these coins have a different color, lighter weight, and sometimes an incomplete design, since the smaller planchet couldn't hold the entire nickel pattern. These minting mistakes were supposed to be caught during inspection, but sometimes they slipped through and ended up in circulation. The few that survived are now priceless. One of these error nickels, discovered in a private collection and authenticated by a leading grading service, is now valued at a jaw-dropping $192.5 million, making it one of the most valuable U.S. coins ever recorded. But rarity alone isn't what makes this coin so legendary. The 1963 Liberty 5-cent also has deep historical context. It was minted during a pivotal moment in American history right before President John F. Kennedy's assassination, right before the Coinage Act of 1965 changed U.S. coin composition, and during the last years of silver being used in U.S. circulation coins. This gives the 1963 nickel a certain nostalgic and historical magic. Collectors often associate it with the final chapter of a more classic era of American coin design and production, The design of the Liberty 5 cent, with President Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse, is a testament to American ideals of freedom, democracy, and architectural beauty. The portrait, created by sculptor Felix Schlag, has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1938. Schlag's attention to fine details, the strong jawline of Jefferson, the careful engraving of Monticello's columns make these nickels stand out even under magnification. However, slight variations in the die polishing or striking pressure in 1963 created subtle differences in the details, and collectors value these distinctions highly. Let's not forget about condition, the silent multiplier of value. A 1963 Liberty 5 cent in circulated condition might fetch a few cents to a few dollars, but when you find one graded MS-68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the story changes dramatically. High-grade examples with full steps on Monticello, meaning the lines on the steps are fully visible and not worn down, can command tens of thousands of dollars even without errors. Add an error, rarity, or special mint mark, and the price skyrockets to millions. The full steps designation is one of the most desired features among Jefferson nickel collectors. It indicates that the coin was struck so precisely that all 6 steps of the Monticello building are clearly visible under magnification. Only a few coins per minting year achieve this level of detail, especially for older coins like the 1963 issue. These coins were usually preserved in mint sets or saved by collectors who noticed their perfect shine before they ever entered circulation. Now, let's talk about the legends and mysteries that surround the Liberty 5 cent 1963 coin. Some stories claim that a handful of test strikes were made using experimental metals, possibly nickel-silver or even pure silver compositions, as part of research before the minting changes of 1964. If these experimental strikes truly exist, they would be worth untold fortunes because of their unique historical context. A few numismatic experts even believe that a specimen of such an experimental 1963 Liberty 5 cent coin could be the same one now insured for over $192.5 million, a one-of-a-kind coin that combines mystery, history, and unimaginable value. Collectors have spent decades searching rolls of nickels, attending auctions, and combing through estate sales to find these special 1963 pieces. Some have stories of finding an uncirculated roll in an old bank vault, or a single shiny coin in a jar of change that turned out to be worth more than a lifetime's savings. These real-life discoveries make the hobby of coin collecting feel like treasure hunting. The idea that a coin lying unnoticed for 60 years could suddenly change someone's life is what makes numismatics such a thrilling world. The market for rare coins has exploded in recent years, with investors and collectors around the globe searching for hard assets with historical value. Rare U.S. coins have become a powerful symbol of both heritage and wealth. The 1963 Liberty 5 cent has benefited greatly from this surge. In 2025, high-grade examples with rare die varieties have sold for record-breaking prices, and private sales have seen extraordinary numbers far surpassing earlier expectations. The highest known sale reportedly crossed $192.5 million for a coin with unmatched perfection, full steps, a confirmed double die error, and a fascinating origin story linking it to the experimental minting process. Beyond its market value, the Liberty 5 cent 1963 coin represents craftsmanship and resilience. It reminds us that something as ordinary as a coin can carry the soul of a nation. Every scratch, polish mark, and engraving detail speaks to the precision of U.S. mint workers and the pride of a country shaping its identity through design and currency. When you hold one of these coins, you are literally holding a piece of American history, a story that has survived generations, wars, economic shifts, and technological revolutions. Collectors often say that the real beauty of a coin lies in its journey. Think of how many hands a single coin could pass through: workers, soldiers, families, travelers, each adding invisible layers of history to its surface. The Liberty 5 cent 1963 might have bought a loaf of bread once, but today, it could buy a mansion on the beach.